In today's video, we are going to be looking at a certain tier list, and I'm pretty sure you already know which one it is. And today, we're also going to be talking about the topic in regards to this guy right here, because apparently, every single time we talk about the tier list, we talk about something in regards to comparisons. This guy comes up, there's always controversy around him, there's always a problem around him, and today we're going to be talking about that, clearing it up, all that type of stuff. And in regards to the tier list itself, which we are going to be looking at today, I do want to give my full opinions and thoughts. I did do a video with EO and Moon where we did talk about, in a group consensus, where we talk about the tier list and where we should have characters placed up, placed down, change where they're at, have questions, all that type of stuff. And it's a really good video. Make sure to go check that out. But also, let's go ahead and start off with this tier list and what I think about it, especially the changes that we do have and some of the changes I want personally for this tier list, which I'm very excited to talk about. And of course, disclaimer for number one, I don't understand why a lot of people have been getting super duper upset or very angry to the point where they're commenting some of the most craziest things on a lot of other CC's channels. We need to stop that. At this point, when it comes to the tier list, a lot of people are getting super defensive over their mains, and a lot of people are getting very upset when it comes to people talking about their character. And if I talk about them a certain way, it's because that's how I genuinely think about that character. Even if I don't like the character or not, or I do love the character, I'm still going to treat them as harshly as I do the ones I do love and the ones I don't love. Because I love characters like Blade. He's by far one of my favorite characters in the game right now. And it's sad to see him at A, it is, but it's still where he's supposed to be at. I do think that's where his genuine tier should be. And if I could, F it, I would put him in S because of how versatile he is. But in regards to the characters that are in S and the characters that are in S+, he does not match up. So there's a lot of things that if I were to put bias into it, I would 100% change a lot of the things in this game. But when I look at this tier list, I look at them based on the experience I've had with them and the experiences that I've seen everyone else have with them and their general ranking in regards to comparison. Because as a good analogy that I've seen this said before, when it comes to this tier list, this wouldn't change in how it looks like, because right now we see it as S+, as ABC. If it was SSS, SSS+, SS, you know, by itself, S, people would be happy. People would be like, oh, this is cool. They're still S rank, blah, 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 you know, all that type of stuff. When realistically, this isn't the letter means all of their kit. Is more of a distinctive barrier between each and every character, each and every slot, and every single time the letters separate, there is a new threshold of power that is being either decreased or increased, because in no way, shape, or form are you going to tell me someone like Jing Yuan is able to match up with someone like Dr. Ratio, or someone like Jing Yuan is able to put or be compared to Sell It. No. That is not in one way, shape, or form the way we see it. It is definitely distinct thresholds of power that you see between these cells, like the S+, the S, the A, that they share the distinctive realm that they have with each other, where they're outputting the same amount of damage, outputting the same amount of utility that they would have with their best teams. And that's the way you need to be thinking about it. Not if they're A, they're trash. If they're B, they're trash. That's not the case, because you see Himiko and Herta, and then you see 1 cycle, 0 cycles with them. That doesn't mean they're trash. That just means in terms of power, they're going to stay where they are. That's how it is. But going into the tier list, going ahead and talking about the first change that they did, which is Dan Heng being an S+. Now, Dan Heng being an S+, in my honest opinion, I 100% agree. At this point in the game, especially with when he came out during his release, which he was the first definition of power creep that came to mind when it came to everyone reacting to it. Was he power creep? Is he going to ruin the game? All that type of stuff. At that point, everyone was just shocked at the damage that he was doing. And we all knew one minor setback that he had, or one weakness that Dan Heng did have, which was he uses too many skill points. Having to use 3 no matter what to get your max amount of attack off that you're able to possibly do, that's pretty steep, especially when you're looking at the characters at the time that were associated with them, which are characters like Bronya, Tingyun, Ho-Ho, or someone like Fu Xuan or Luocha, whatever. All these characters had to eventually use skill points. Dan Heng uses 3, and you're also stuck at a 5 skill point bar. So Dan Heng uses 3, Bronya has to boost you up, so that's already 4 used. Tingyun has to use the buff, and then the sustain, say you get hit, has to use their skill points. Now we're past the 5, we're at 6 now. So the next time Dan Heng comes around, he has to basic attack, or he has to basically do nothing in regards to how many skill points he can use, unless he had his ult previously, where then he can use a 2 skill point attack, and that's pretty much it. There was times where people had to do a 2 skill point attack or a 1 skill point attack just to be able to delay the amount of power that they're doing, so that they can unleash a 3 skill point power attack afterwards. Now that was a pretty big thing for Dan Heng, and that's where his weakness lied, which made a lot of sense. For him to have this much power, there has to be a drawback to him at that point, and there was, because none of these units at that time, no matter how you looked at it, they were not going to generate enough skill points for Dan Heng to be able to keep 3 skill point attacking no matter what, and especially with that Bronya advanced forwarding him, that became a problem, because now you're putting a character that needs this many skill points as many times as you are going, so 5 skill points isn't enough. So with Sparkle coming in and not only raising the reserve that you're able to hold, which is 7, being able to regenerate the skill points by 4 from her ultimate, being able to give a massive crit damage boost, and also giving a damage boost based on how many skill points you're using, that is pretty massive for Dan Heng, and that basically fills up the holes that he has in his kit that pulled him back a long time ago, which kept him in S, because that was the only drawback. He had a clear weakness, which was he can't use as many skill points as he wants to, but with Sparkle being in the game, 100% changed the way he played entirely, allowing you to spam skill points at this point, with Dan Heng being able to do a guaranteed 3 skill point every turn, with Bronya being able to buff him up all the way to the top. Actually, I'm so stupid. Sparkle takes Bronya's spot, but with having like Ruan Mei or Qingque Yuan or any other characters being able to spam their skill, be SP positive, and help out Dan Heng all at the same time, he has no weaknesses now. He is the perfect character, and he now has an enormous amount of damage that he can hold by himself, similar to something like Jing Liu, where she's also the perfect unit, has a fat ton of crit rate, a lot of damage that comes out, too much adjacent damage, a ult boost, all that type of stuff, an advanced forward. She has everything in her kit that she needs, and she barely needs the supports that are her best. Like Ruan Mei, Pella can destroy a whole board. Bronya, Pella, Bronya, Ruan Mei. There's a lot that Jing Liu can do, and seeing these 2 characters with their best of best teams, these characters are going to shred whatever they want in regards to weakness or no weakness. I've been able to clear Jing Liu by herself, or not by herself, but with her better team, and clear the current MOC where there's only like 1 or 2 ice characters on the field, which is a crazy feat that she's able to do. Same thing with Dan Heng. He puts out so much massive power that he's able to delete characters that are not of the weakness of Imaginary, which is a really cool thing and really shows the power that they both have. So right now, I 100% agree with Dan Heng being an S+, just because of the amount of power that he has, and that now he has no clear weakness. His weakness has been patched up by Sparkle coming out and doing absolutely everything he would have wished for, and at this point, Dan Heng deserved that S+ tier. So congrats to Dan Heng, very happy for him, because he was a character I not slept on, but didn't like to use just because of the skill point usage and how restrictive it felt to use him. But now that Sparkle's out, I definitely want to use him a little bit more, so this is really cool to see. Now going into S, where we have our next change. Now I do want to talk about another character before we get into the meat of what I think this video might have to be, which is Jing Yuan's portion, or Jing Yuan's part, and it's Qingque. I have said it in my last video, I have said it in this video where I'm going to say it, and I have said it in EO's video where I just don't think Qingque should be an S. Qingque should be an A in my honest opinion, or if we were to make another tier for the characters that are very, very, very good, but they're not quite an S, would be A+. I'd be okay with either or. I've seen arguments made where she should be in B. I don't agree for the most part, just because right now for Qingque, I'm not going to disregard the massive nukes that she can throw out when it comes to her enhanced tile and also her autarky proc. But at the end of the day, Qingque's damage and Qingque's viability is all into RNG, and RNG is not guaranteed. You're never guaranteed anything. I've had moments where I had very lucky strings of using Qingque where I'm getting the tiles at a consistent rate, getting autarky at a consistent rate. It feels super good, and nothing is in her way when it comes to that. You have way too much damage to the point where you're one-shotting things, two-shotting things, being able to wipe a whole boss in under 1 turn, because she does the enhanced ult, she does the autarky proc, and then the ult itself. There's just a lot of things that come with Qingque that do some devastating damage, and I will not be taking that away from her, because we should know this at this point, that she power creeps, or she overpowers herself in terms of being compared to a 5-star. She does more damage than a lot of these units. I can say easily that Blade by himself with his, I would guess you would say, optimal team, or his better team, is putting nowhere near the amount of damage that Qingque is doing in a single turn. Not happening. So when it comes to Qingque, right now, looking at the obstacles that she does have to deal with in regards to her damage, when it comes to her really good damage, you have to not only hit the enhanced or a basic, but you also have to get the autarky proc, and those are both based on RNG. So whenever you miss those and you have a bad day, or you have a bad luck day, and you're just wasting 5 skill points back to back to back to back, and you're not getting her enhanced a brick or enhanced tile, You're doing a lot less damage. You get her enhanced tile on the last skill point, but guess what? Now, not only do your support suffer because now they have no more skill points, unless you have Sparkle. But then looking at Qingque, looking at her now with Sparkle, she doesn't have to worry about that as much, but you still have to worry about autarky, which is possible to not only waste all the skill points that Qingque could have gotten when it comes to the mount that she's going to be taking in, but also now you got to worry about autarky. So there's a lot of different barriers that Qingque has to go through to be able to do her massive nukes that she does have, and having Sparkle in the game definitely makes her a lot more comfortable, makes her a lot more stronger when it comes to having her on her best team, which these two are basically made for each other, which is an absolutely amazing thing. But the fact that she's not consistent, for the fact that you're not guaranteed autarky, you're not guaranteed any of these things in regards to the damage that she does, I can in good faith keep her where these S tier characters are, and I would have to bump her down to another RNG character, which is Clara. Clara is the same way. You're not guaranteed to hit Clara. Even in her ultimate, the aggro is increased, but you're not guaranteed it. Same thing with having Lynx on the team. Helping out Clara, you're still not guaranteed it. There's a lot of things that go into the way RNG works, and with Clara not getting hit, that's a massive damage drop off, especially when it comes to you having a fat ton of enemies on the field and they're all hitting some other dude on purpose, and Clara just gets no damage out of it when that's the base of her kit. She has the potential to do some absolutely devastating damage if she's able to get hit multiple times, but for Qingque's sake and Clara's sake, their damage is dependent on how the computer wants your day to be. If they want you to have a bad day, they're not letting you get tiles or not letting you get hit. If the computer wants to give you a good day, you're getting the enhanced tiles, autarky, throwing out nukes, you're deleting bosses, all that type of stuff. I'm just going to say this right now. Qingque has some nasty damage that outweighs a lot of these 5 stars, but the non-consistency that she has does definitely put her down to A in my honest opinion, just because RNG is RNG at the end of the day. There's no way you can dispute this, no way you can fight this. You're not guaranteed a tile every single time. And I know it's an anomaly, but it's still proof that you're not guaranteed it. Poke's 10 skill point suck up from Qingque. That just shows it's not guaranteed. I don't want to hear that it's guaranteed. I don't want to see anything in terms of percentages, that it's an anomaly, all that type of stuff. It's still possible at the end of the day for you to waste 10 skill points. That's absurd. In my honest opinion, I just don't think that's worth at that point. So Qingque definitely should be put down to A, even with Sparkle coming into the game. I don't think that changes the way she is. And I think that should be her permanent spot, because although she's able to outweigh a lot of these 5 stars, RNG is RNG at the end of the day. And then looking at our main topic for today, which is Jing Yuan and his placement, him going up because of Sparkle. And looking at Jing Yuan, I've honestly thought about it for a very long time when it comes to talking about it on EO's video, thinking about it now, and also watching other people talk about it as well. Looking at Jing Yuan, he definitely did get a power boost in a way when it comes to Sparkle coming in, because yes, she would be the better Bronya in that sense, because now your crit damage buff is going to be able to last up until your Lightning Lord hit, which is a big boost in damage that Bronya wasn't able to provide, because yes, you want to advance for Jing Yuan so you can get a stack. When you get 10 stacks, Lightning Lord does some absolutely nasty damage, but before, Bronya didn't give that damage boost to the Lightning Lord because it ended after Jing Yuan's turn. Now that Sparkle's out, we do see that she carries on the buff until their next turn, so all the follow-up units are able to benefit from this, which is a really good thing, and it really makes the Jing Yuan team feel very smooth, because not only does Jing Yuan have to skill point every turn. When Bronya was on the team, she had to skill point every turn. Ting Yun has to apply her buff. Luocha or Ho-Ho or Fu Xuan, they have to apply their things. That's a lot of skill points used. Eventually, you're going to run out of skill points at one point or another. Now that we have Sparkle, we don't have to worry about that. Jing Yuan can skill comfortably. He keeps the crit damage on the Lightning Lord. Sparkle gives the advanced 4. Sparkle gives the boost for damage. She gives all that type of stuff. Then you have Ting Yun, you have Ho-Ho, you have Fu Xuan. All that type of stuff sounds very good. Now, this is where the problem I have when it comes to his placing. Now that I've seen a lot more people talk about it, now that I've seen Jing Yuan main say it themselves, Sparkle didn't actually change his best team. His best team right now currently is Ting Yun and Ruan Mei, and rightfully so. Ting Yun is as broken as she is with how universally loved she is in regards to all the teams that she's on, giving the energy, giving the speed boost, giving the attack boost, giving the damage boost. She's absolutely amazing where she's at as a support, and for her to be one of Jing Yuan's partners makes 1000% sense. Same thing with Ruan Mei. the speed, the break effect, the weakness, break efficiency, which is absolutely insane on Jing Yuan on a 10 stack Lightning Lord, making a 100% toughness bar turn to 30% on a 1 Lightning Lord hit when it comes to the full 10 stacks. That's massive. That means that they're basically guaranteed to be broken the next hit or whatever happens is some nasty damage, including Ruan Mei's own break damage. That's a lot of stuff coming from one attack, and how absolutely nasty Ruan Mei is, especially with all her damage boost, the speed, the break effect, all that type of stuff, the penetration, all that goes into Jing Yuan's favor. 100% absolutely amazing. And then you have someone like Fu Xuan preventing CC, or even REHOO giving energy. Jing Yuan has a lot of stuff going for him, but to see that Sparkle coming out really didn't change his best team, it puts me in a situation where that means he shouldn't have gone up a tier. Also, looking at his kits, even with his best team, looking at what we're gonna say his best team probably would be, which is Ruan Mei, Tingyan, and we're gonna flip-flop with REHOO or even Fu Xuan, or we're gonna be talking about two situations. If we use Fu Xuan, you get the crit rate, which helps him out a lot with his crit ratios or crit values, but now we have the CC prevention, which is a big thing that Jing Yuan needs for Lightning Lord, because if you get CC'd, Lightning Lord's getting thrown back down. That's a massive amount of damage that you would have had at that turn now being taken away. That is not good for a character. Now that we say, okay, Fu Xuan's giving CC prevention is only once. Now when a fish comes, when a automaton does the shoulder thing where it does the less attack or less damage or whatever it's called, that's already wasted that CC prevention. Now guess what? The automaton comes in, does the follow-up attack, CC's Jing Yuan, Lightning Lord brought down. The fact that it's only a one-time CC prevention not only does help Jing Yuan, but also hurts him, because as soon as it gets wasted by the minor buff that gets thrown at you when it comes to burn, speed slow, attack slow, anything that's super minor that doesn't really matter, the next one is going to hit. So unless you have a fat ton of effect res on Jing Yuan, he gets imprisoned, you lose your Lightning Lord turn. That's a big problem. Looking at REHOO, if we switch the situation and give him a more offensive healer, she now gives attack boost and energy boost. Absolutely amazing, broken support in my honest opinion, and we'll be talking about that in a quick second. But now you don't have the guaranteed CC prevention. REHOO doesn't stop you from having it, but she does cleanse you. That puts a situation where you get imprisoned automatic. Turn 1, the dude does his little like screw attack on you, you get imprisoned. Now Lightning Lord already lost his turn, and you can't stop that. REHOO cleans you after you take your turn, but that doesn't put Lightning Lord where he's at. Right now, looking at where he's at in regards to his best team, how Sparkle didn't help him, it did make him more comfortable and more smoother to play, but Ruan Mei Tier still being his best overall damage output in regards to what he's able to do as a character, and Lightning Lord, where he still has the same problem. At 10 stacks, he doesn't advance himself forward. At 10 stacks, it's not like he almost has an instant Lightning Lord attack happen, or you have a proc where it just happens as soon as it hits 10. He has to go up. And for the fact that he's able to get CC and you lose your Lightning Lord damage, which can only happen once a cycle if I'm not wrong, that's a bad problem to have for a character. And no other character in this game at the current moment loses as much damage as Jing Yuan when he takes his Lightning Lord off the field. Because everyone else here has a consistent form of damage that they will get no matter what. If you get imprisoned with Cella, Bronya comes in with the cleanse, you take your turn back. When it comes in with Ratio, you cleanse with Ratio with Bronya, he gets his turn back. He gets to do his damage. Jing Liu, Dan Heng, everyone does the same thing. They get to take their turn when it's time to take their turn. Jing Yuan, although he does do some nice damage with his ultimate and his skill, Lightning Lord still does the bulk of the damage no matter what. Unless you're in Pure Fiction where the skill and ultimate matter more, the Lightning Lord still does the majority of the damage, popping some absolutely devastating and nuke numbers, but that doesn't change Lightning Lord. Sadly, they don't want to buff Jing Yuan, and sadly, they don't want to change Jing Yuan, because I feel like he could be such a monster if they just gave him an advanced for it at 10 stacks, but where he is right now, I would have to bump him down to A. I wanted to keep him in S, but after learning that his best team is still Ruan Mei Tier, and learning and trying to go back to myself and realize that his Lightning Lord is still the crux of the problem. I still can't sadly say without a shadow of a doubt, same thing with Qingque, that they do need to be put in A. I had the argument going in on EO's video where I said he should be an S, because I genuinely thought at first that Sparkle did do a big boost to him, giving him the crit damage for his Lightning Lord, giving him the skill points that he needs, but seeing that Team Unit Ruan Mei are still his best team, and we're talking about it as a team game. I know a lot of people are getting on EO for talking about like in terms of Jing Liu not needing Brony or something like that, or where people are saying that he said that you don't need a team for Jing Liu or something like that. That is not what he was saying. He was saying that with Jing Liu, you need a lot less for what you would need for Jing Yuan, and that's still a valid reasoning. Is it for what this tier list is going for? No, but for what you can say that Jing Liu versus Jing Yuan, who does more damage and who can do it more consistently, who faces less problems, Jing Liu wins. All these characters basically win in this department when it comes to Jing Yuan having that problem getting CC'd. I think there's a problem that a lot of people are forgetting about, because yes, we have CC prevention. Yes, we have whole giving cleanse, but it doesn't save you from the multitude of CCs that we're seeing in the game now, where the Fishers are able to give it, the automatons are able to give it, the on-searing robot or whatever it is from MOC, he's giving burn, he's doing all this stuff. There's a lot of stuff that gets hit with you when it comes to CC, and having that wasted automatically, and for the automaton just come in, boom, hit Jing Yuan, he lose all his damage for that turn, that's a problem. So right now I have to say that Jing Yuan would have to be bumped down to A. Regardless of that, going on to everything else, I do think rest of the tier list, for what I would think in terms of power, I say is pretty well done with these changes. Bump these two down to A. Everything else seems perfect. I think everyone here deserves their spot. I would love to see Blade a little higher. Biased, I will say that. I would love to see him higher because of the utility that he gives, but the power that he does and all that includes of what is in the game right now, he doesn't deserve the S spot, but I would love to see my boy eventually hit that for some way, somehow, maybe give it HP buff or anything like that. I would love to see that. Going to the specialist tab, I've already said my grievances with this, and it's very minor. I would like to see Gwenaifen join the dot characters because I don't see very much difference between each of, or I know burn is the lowest break, if I'm not wrong, if that was the right word to say. When it comes to the dots, I still think that the utility that she gives with her fire kiss giving the damage receive buff is pretty major, and that she's able to hit AoE with her stuff. So I will 100% say that she should probably be joining the A tier with the rest of the dot family. Su Shang, I hate that she's in C. It's just a personal thing because I have showcased her many times on the channel, and I would just love to give her honorary B at this point. Because if we're putting Su Shang up, I would love to see, if we're putting Gwenaifen up, I would love to see Su Shang up. Just because I feel like she, with Ruan Mei, and yes, I know with Luca, you get a little bit more. A lot more bleed, you get to reproc your bleed, a damage buff, all that type of stuff. But with Su Shang in particular, if you pair her up with Ruan Mei, you get some nasty damage and also some nasty toughness break. Like, you go from having 100% shield to having none in less than a second. I think that holds some weight. I think Fire Trailblazer as a breaker, which I guess some people use, I would say that she definitely should just stay there at C, and Su Shang should be bumped up a bit. Looking at Kafka in S+, 100%, I see some people debating that she should be an S or something like that. I 100% say that right now she is the only S+ character in the specialist tab, only because the dot team needs that front-loaded damage, and you get a multitude of reprocs of the dot damage from your other units with having Kafka on the field, and with how absolutely strong she is with her massive dot reproc on her skill, with her ultimate, all that type of stuff. Her being able to enable a lot of these other teams that don't necessarily deal with dots, like Topaz with her follow-up tab because it is directed, and many other teams. 100% Kafka should just be alone at S+. I don't think follow-up characters for right now with Topaz, although Topaz is an amazing unit with some massive damage behind her and also being able to debuff characters to take more follow-up attack damage, I don't think it's as monumental at Kafka, so that's going to stay where that is. I think the specialist tab is pretty nice. Just move Gwenaifen up, move Su Shang up, and then we're pretty okay with that. And here comes the next one. The next tier, or the next section that a lot of people are talking about, which is the amplifier tier. And I have two changes. I think below the B, everything should stay. Hanya, Asta, Yukong, they are getting used less with a lot of the better sustains coming out, or not sustains, Harmon units coming out, and debuffers. So I 100% say this should be fine. A to S+ is where I need to see some changes. Personally, to me, I need to see some stuff. Right now for S+, we do have Sparkle being a new addition to S+. With Ruan Mei, I 100% disagree. I don't think any character in this game, no matter what, compared to Ruan Mei on her release. A lot of people slept on her when she did release. I know a lot of people are saying she was broken, but there's a large majority of people that were skipping Ruan Mei for Sparkle, skipping Ruan Mei for someone else, and I just think that was a huge mistake. I think Ruan Mei at this point in the game has just made teams feel so different, to the point that people have said, I've said, other content creators have said, a lot of players have said, Ruan Mei on a team versus Ruan Mei not on a team feels like the team without Ruan Mei isn't complete. or isn't performing, because you see a massive difference in the toughness bar that you're able to do for the damage that it has, the amount of damage you're doing with Ruan Mei, the teams that open up with Ruan Mei. Everything just feels off without Ruan Mei on the team, because you can get some nasty stuff to happen with their weakness break efficiency, which she's the only character in the game that deals with that, or that has a buff that she can give to others that deal with that. So that is absolutely one broken thing that she has. But she gets a multitude of buffs that she just has from her existing. Her skill makes her SP positive, so she gets to proc her skill, generate skill points, and then go ahead and have her skill open where she gets the massive damage boost that she gets from her break effect. She's able to do some massive damage from her having break effect, which she already needed to be skilled off of. She does a lot of stuff already. Too many buffs just for her living, too many buffs from her skill alone, and the absolute nastiness that comes from all of her traces. Ruan Mei is a perfect unit. Ruan Mei opens up way too many doors and also changed the way so many players thought about Honkai Star Rail, with incentivizing people to look into break effect. Not many people were hard heavy into looking into how break effect works, unless you were a dot aficionado, or if you were really curious on how that playstyle worked before dot came into the picture. No one really cared about break effect until Ruan Mei came out, because that's when everyone was like, oh my god, I can do this with Ruan Mei since the toughness bar is able to be broken this quick. Maybe I should invest into blah blah blah, that type of stuff. And Ruan Mei was the only character to make anyone change the way people looked at the meta, way people change the way they look into all that's within Star Rail. The buffs that she gives, her being SP positive, her being to be plopped onto any team possible, 100% Ruan Mei is the only character right now that should be an S+. I think realistically, if I'm going to be honest, Ruan Mei should have a tier under her that's empty. I don't think anyone in the game matches Ruan Mei to the degree that she has the power to be. I'm okay with keeping it as is in regards to S+ and then S, but she definitely needs to be alone until another Ruan Mei comes. There has to be someone absolutely game breaking to be able to topple Ruan Mei or to be right next to her. I think Sparkle 100% should be thrown down to where Bronya is, because when you think about it realistically, I don't see how people don't see this. Sparkle and Bronya are the same character. Sparkle gives 50% advance forward while Bronya gives 100. Basically the same thing at this point. Depending on how speed situations work, you might have a situation where Sparkle might boost the character up one slot below the next turn. That has a chance of happening, but very few times that it does happen. Bronya gives a crit on ult. Sparkle gives a crit on skill. That's that one difference. Damage boost on ult for Sparkle, damage boost on skill for Bronya. When you come to these two characters and you see what they're able to do, the only thing that's the difference is that Sparkle can regenerate the skill points, which is an amazing thing, and that's why Don Heng has a new partner and makes him so strong. But Bronya still has her cases too, where she's able to be used for a majority of the other units as well, being able to be used for someone like Jing Yuan, being able to use for someone like Blade. A lot of these characters, they share very high in similarities, and they can be used in their own situations. But in the best situation that you can say for this Sparkle versus Bronya debate is the same coin but different sides. You either get 100% advance for it or 50. Skill on ult or skill on the boost of damage on ult or the boost of damage on skill. Crit damage buff on ult, crit damage on skill. It's the same thing for the most part, depending on how you want to look at it. It does make certain characters way easier to play and more comfortable. But for the most part, I do just see these two characters being locked with each other in S tier, because I don't think anyone touches Ruan Mei. And then looking at the Silver Wolf being S, I think it's about time to retire her down to A, because realistically, she's not being used as much. Yes, she still has enormous value, and I still say she's a character that most free-to-play should go for, because it allows you to play whatever character you want. You get to have fun with whatever favorite character you want to play with. Silver Wolf allows that to happen. So that's why I say she should be dropped down to A, but it's still a must pull in my honest opinion, just because of how strong she is. But when you're looking at the best teams, when you're looking at the characters that do the best in regards to the supports they have, the debuffs they have, majority of the time Silver Wolf isn't there. He's either Ruan Mei, Bronya, Sparkle, Qingque. Let's just be honest. And then we also have Pella, who has AoE defense rate, which is absolutely massive, while Silver Wolf can only do it to one character, which right now we're not in the same state of the game where we had one enemy that had a massive health bar. We're able to put the debuffs on them and then we're good. Now we have two elites. Now we have enemies that are refreshing every single time you kill someone. that is a big deal. That puts Silverwolf in a spot where she's not able to just massively debuff every single character that comes out, or have a pool of debuffs that just stays there and debuffs as they come in. That doesn't happen, but that sounds actually pretty cool. But Silverwolf right now just doesn't conform to the content we currently have. She still has amazing power. When it comes to what she's able to provide with her bug game plan, I'm never going to take that away from her. That's still game breaking still to today. But she just doesn't have the same power as you would say someone like Jing Yuan has, who's universally loved on almost every freaking team, the way Bronya's loved on every freaking team, and the way Sparkle's loved on every freaking team. So I wouldn't put them right next to each other. I think Silverwolf does deserve to be in the A tier. And then Pela, realistically, although her defense shred is absolutely massive with her ult and she's omega skill point positive, I think with how we can consider the bug game plan to still be an amazing source of debuffing or a very overpowered debuff, I think we can keep Silverwolf and Pela in the same tier. I know some people want to boost Pela up to S, but again, you have to think about it in terms of a power threshold. Sparkle, Bronya, Jing Yuan, are you really going to put Pela right next to them? These are like the most universally loved and most broken support characters in the game. I think Silverwolf and Pela being in the same tier makes a lot of sense, and then after that, everything else is fine. Right now, I think the sustained tier list is pretty good. I'm very happy Lynx is getting the right amount of, I guess you say, attention that she needs, because she is absolutely amazing unit. I made a video talking about her with Clara for Pure Fiction, and it absolutely devastated that mode. It was so fun, and I'm so glad Lynx is being shown off as a better character, being A on top of Bailu and Japar, which they still have their uses for sure. I don't like Bailu as much, and I think she does like a little bit more, but she is able to do her job, which is basically keep you alive, give you that free revive, and also give you some damage reduction with her invigoration. And then same thing for Japar. He's a god with a simulated universe, and he can keep you alive as well, being really cool for mono ice teams and other things like that. And lastly, the last change I want to see is Ho-Ho bumped up to S+. I think Ho-Ho right now in the game is one of the best characters to be a sustain for sure. She provides so much, and in the game right now where we have characters like Dan Heng, we have characters like Jing Yuan, we have characters like Jing Liu, Argenti. I'm not gonna name all the DPS characters. Basically everyone can benefit from a Ho-Ho, even if it doesn't mean having that attack boost mean anything, because giving these ults to characters, being able to boost ult uptime for a lot of these characters like Jing Yuan, Dan Heng, Jing Liu, they give some massive buffs and they're critical components of their kit. So having that, having off-field heal every single time, not only you ultimate, but also it's time for your turn. Well, actually, that might not be the case. Whenever you ultimate, and having a cleanse every single time is your turn, you are going to be guaranteed to be cleansed as long as Ho-Ho gives you that stack up first. And then she can also direct cleanse. That's a big deal. Not having to worry about things being on you, especially stuff like Kafka's Dominate, a dot, all that type of stuff, gone as soon as your turn starts. And then the offensive capability that she has with her attack boost and her massive energy boost, that's a big thing. It's almost, or I would say a little bit higher than the degree of Fu Xuan, because although Fu Xuan does give a good amount of crit rate and gives you that max HP buff, redirects damage mitigates it, all that type of stuff, for the amount of characters we have right now that are super offensive, if we're making clears as short as possible with how strong we are, we're actually doing more damage than they're able to dish out. We're doing more damage before they even get their turn, possibly KOing them before they even hit us. So why does it make sense to have a brick wall in front of you like Fu Xuan when you can just kill everyone in front of you and finish off the job? At that point, that makes Ho-Ho absolutely needed for that type of playstyle. And with the power that we have now with Jing Liu, Dan Heng, Jing Yuan, Cele, Argenti, all these other characters, Ho-Ho 100% falls into that area. She's able to buff every single type of team, no matter who it is, whether you're a crit DPS, a dot, or anything else. Ho-Ho is there and she makes the job absolutely easy and fun. So Ho-Ho for sure should be dropped up into S+. I don't see how she's other than an S+ tier character. I've always had this sentiment because she's just super duper strong. Whenever she gets her rerun, I sincerely hope people look at her differently, because she is an absolutely tank, an absolutely monster, a cleanse master, and the energy buffer that everyone needs, because it's so cool to see stuff like Jing Yuan Ho-Ho with Jing Liu. You get to keep her in her state for longer, giving Dan Heng a fat ton of skill points. It's a lot of really cool stuff you can do with Ho-Ho. She's really, really good. She has the massive cleanse. She has really good healing, all that type of stuff. Directed healing, everything. So other than that, that's going to be it for this video. I think regarding most of the tier lists, I covered everything I wanted. I would hope everyone keeps it civil for the tier list discussion when it comes to where I rated the characters, how I talked about these characters. Again, if I had bias, I would love to have certain characters in other spots. But when you look at the game, when I see how these characters perform with the meta currently, as you may know, me wanting to drop Silver Wolf down to A tier hurt me because she's by far one of my favorite characters, the only character I have at E2. But on that, thank you guys so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. Let me know what videos you want to see next when it comes to my showcase or anything else you want me to cover. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See you on the next one, and peace.